I want to talk about press freedom and living in a country where the free press remain free, are allowed to critique the government and the leaders, politicians, hold them to account, and remind us that journalists are an essential part of the democratic process. To be critiqued and criticized is very important. It keeps us on the straight and narrow. It reminds us that there are differing opinions. And it also keeps politicians from veering off course. When they promised certain things during their manifesto or lead up to election or something that they electioneered on, and they don't stick to it, it's often journalists are the ones that just remind them and give them a little nudge. And so let's not underestimate the importance of a free press to be educated about the world and to understand that, there are other countries doing it differently. And for me, that's something I try and bring to U.S. media, is to bring a European perspective, a different sensibility on U.S. events. And trust me, as a journalist, there is nothing more important than being able to speak freely, to criticize the government, not in a malicious way, but in a way that really supports the democratic process. Well, Donald Trump continues to tell us his fascist intentions as he plans to get re-elected to avoid prosecution. And tragically, the mainstream media are not treating him like a 4 times indicted and twice impeached, disgraced former president. They're just treating him as a kind of equal candidate to Joe Biden, which is unfair because it's not an even 2-horse race. One of them is intent on breaking the law, has done multiple times and continues to do so. Not small crimes, significant crimes like trying to overturn the election or trying to tell people the election was rigged or fraudulent when it wasn't. And it's, let's be clear, it wasn't, because we know now. We actually knew at the time. The only person sowing doubt was Donald Trump. And remember, he was sowing doubt even before the election. This was his plan a year up to the election. He kept saying, if I don't win, it'll be fraud, which in itself doesn't make sense. Does he trust in the electoral system or not? The point is that we are now in a situation where Donald Trump is launching into overtly fascist language, an assault on the First Amendment. He promised on the Sunday night, that he will remove from the airwaves any news media that is not friendly towards him should he be re-elected as President of the United States. He specifically took aim at NBC News to make his point. Even though NBC was his employer during his days hosting The Apprentice, he said, and I'll quote, "I say up front, openly and proudly, that when I win the presidency of the United States, they and others of the lamestream media will be thoroughly scrutinized for their knowingly dishonest and corrupt coverage of people, things, and events. Why should NBC or any other of the corrupt and dishonest media companies be entitled to use the very valuable airwaves of the USA free? They are a true threat to democracy and are, in fact, the enemy of the people. The fake news media should pay a big price for what they have done to our once great country." Now, let's be clear. Donald Trump is promising to launch politically motivated investigations into news networks that don't support him, that don't toe the line with his politics, and threatening to cancel them or remove them, shut them down if they don't comply. Now, I was very upset when he first talked about the press being the enemy of the people. He started that years ago. It's such a fascistic use of language. And if you haven't recently kind of looked up the definition of fascism, trust me, to denigrate the free press, that is up there. And, the free press have not fought back. I'm surprised that they haven't in great numbers. And it's very frustrating to me that, he is allowed to come on and do Meet the Press and these types of shows, and there is minimal pushback. There is no fact-checking. They don't. I think they posted a fact check on his lies after the show on their website. That does not excuse the fact that they allowed him to spew propaganda and lies on the airways. And so, we need to be very, very clear about what we want the United States to look like. And, maybe this is what America wants. I mean, maybe America will get what it deserves. Maybe we're in a situation where Donald Trump has to be reelected again. And, all of these great institutions will come crashing down, including the free press. And then it'll be like living in Russia or in China, where you don't get to see international media, where you only get to see state-run news. You only get to hear the words that Donald Trump wants you to hear. That is what America has coming for it if Donald Trump is reelected. He is not hiding his plan. If you've read Project 2025, I recommend it. It's 900 pages of pure fascism. These are the organizations that have got together, 70 advocacy groups, to create a document that really is their plan for installing a Republican authoritarian in the White House in 2024 and beyond. So, be very clear what you wish for. And like I say, I don't get to vote here. I'm an observer, but I really recognize the threat of fascism in a free country. And trust me, to lose your freedom because one man is so intent on burning everything down just to save his own skin, it's not the first time it's happened in history outside of the US. And for it to happen here would be a very sad and sorry state of affairs. I'm Anthony Davis. You can hear me every day on the 5 Minute News podcast. Download it wherever you get yours and have me tell you what's happening around the world while you make your morning coffee. You can also catch my videos, my explainer videos, and my weekend show long-form interview program here on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe, but also don't forget to join. And by clicking join, from just $2.99 a month, you can become part of the 5 Minute News community. Join me for live Q&As and communicate with me whenever you like as an exclusive member of 5 Minute News.